they've let us do that. It's one of the few places in town that we can get a big group in, and they have their own sound system, which works out great for us. My name's Pat Martin, and sorry I'm not dressed up, but I came right from work. You might recognize me as the guy that stands on the corner down there washing cars all the time. My family's been in town since the 30s. I came here all my life, but I moved here permanently in 1987 and raised my family here, and I'm still here. And usually I introduce myself and the rest of the group, which I'm going to do, but quick background, why I got into this. About 1989, 1990, I was working down there, and there was a group of people across the street. It might have been about 1992. And they were all pointing and gesturing to the intersection, which at that time was a stop sign. There was no traffic light at Bridge Road and A1A. It was a stop sign on A1A, and you didn't have to stop on Bridge Road. And a lady waved me over who turned out to be Beth Ledengarver, who I ended up joining the chamber and getting involved with them because of this. She said, you might want to come hear this. And the county had hired a planner who was going to come in and change Hobe Sound. This is 1992. And he was from Australia, and I'm going to do a very bad Australian accent. If somebody here is from Australia, don't get upset with me, please. And he said, well, the newest thing is a roundabout. And we're going to put a roundabout right here. We're going to have to get rid of that old gas station, though. And that's when my ears pricked up. And I started becoming involved in things going on in the county. I remember being with Harry and a bunch of other people at the fire station protesting when they were going to build a big, huge development in what is now the Sea Branch Preserve. That was going to be thousands of houses. I went on to become part of PMC, Protect Martin County, when we fought the Hobe Grove project out west of town. And so each time one of these things came along, it became apparent to me and to other people doing this that not always did we get represented at the county. Sure, we had a representative who represented Hobe Sound in theory, but they're elected throughout the county. People in Palm City vote for them. People in Jensen vote for them, not just us. So it's not our person. We're lucky this time because in Harold Jenkins we have a guy from here who's grown up here and is trying to do the right thing for Hobe Sound. But he's not always going to be there. And what you end up getting is a 3-2 group or a 4-1 group, and when that 4-1 group comes in, either absolutely nothing gets done or you get a whole lot of things get done before they can be stopped. And so it became apparent to a lot of people that the only way to avoid that and keep Hobe Sound the way we want to keep it is to have our own government. For a time we looked into, well, what would it take to just elect our county commissioner from Hobe Sound? That would involve becoming a chartered county. Believe me, that's a lot harder than doing what we're trying to do now. So that's where I come from. The other people involved in this group are Alfred Miller, whose family's been here since the 20s. Michael Ennis, who's been here 35 years or so. Harry, everybody here knows Harry from Harry and the Natives. His family's been here since the 50s. Michael Banis, that's Harold Jenkins' son-in-law. He grew up here. He's been here all your life, right? 86. Is that when you were born?
I was 4. I didn't know there by choice.
John Culpepper, who came to our group because he was against this when he first heard about it. And once he realized what was going on, he became one of our biggest researchers and go-getters in the group. And Sandra McGrew over here, been involved for doing volunteer work, hard work for the last couple of years. We've got a table back there with Cindy Foley, Billy Tracy, some other volunteers back there. So this group, and there's a lot of people in the audience who've been here and who've taken part in these things and are for this and are trying to help us. You might not be for this. We understand. We understand. We're going to try and answer questions. If you don't agree with our questions, that's fine. That's your right. When it comes to August 28th, vote no. I just have to announce, I mentioned Father Hines in the church before. They don't support this one way or the other. They're just allowing us to use this space. They're not taking a side in this issue. They're just trying to be a good citizen to our town by letting people use this space for this. But in that respect, we want to respect them and not get crazy. We're going to try and answer every question you've got as best as we can. And if we can't, we'll try and answer it later. But we don't have to get out of control here. So with that, I'm going to let Alfred talk, and then we'll go through our presentation. We'll answer every question we can from you, and even more after everybody leaves. We'll be here as long as you need us to answer. Okay? Great. Thanks for coming.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Alfred Miller, and I'd just like to commend each and every one of you that came out this afternoon. I grew up here in Hobe Sound, more specifically right across Federal Highway there in Banner Lake. I've enjoyed, and I have probably the greatest memories that a person can have growing up in their community. And it's not just me. As I kind of scan the audience here, there's quite a few people here that are native to this area and has lived here just as long as I have. But I believe that what we all have in common here tonight is that we all have a love for Hobe Sound, and we care about Hobe Sound. And the reason that I got involved was that there is an opportunity, and this may be one of the only opportunities for us to protect some of what we have. I mean, you have to be an ostrich with your head in the sand to realize that things are not changing, and nothing's going to stay the same. But we have the ability to ensure that this does not become another, I'm just going to say, overpopulated, out of control place that you won't recognize in 10 or 15 years. And I came in myself. I won't say that I was skeptical, but I wanted to get some idea of, how was this being planned out? How was this being thought out? How was the numbers going to work? And after I've attended a few meetings, I do have some experience in developing things from scratch. And I know that in order to do that, you have to be committed and you have to put some time in. And that's one thing that I recognized right away, that the group of gentlemen that I was sitting down with, that they were doing their homework, that they were doing their diligence, and they all had a love for this community, Hobe Sound. And so as I began to be involved, and you're going to hear some things tonight, you're going to hear about the feasibility study that was done. You're going to hear about all the thought that has gone into meeting with the county to ensure that like our numbers were right. We know that we have a lot of support from some of the county commissioners, and I believe that this is the right thing to do at this time. I don't want to look back 10 or 15 years from now and say, hey, we had a chance to keep this jewel that we have and we missed it. This is the time as far as I'm concerned, and that time is now. The other reason that I'd like to commend some of you is that some of you are probably here not really maybe agreeing with what we're doing, but that's fine. But I believe that on August 28th, when your votes are cast, we would hope that we've done the right thing in making sure that our positions have been known, that we brought to you the right information, and you're going to be as well informed as informed could be. We have not attempted to operate by night. We've done, this is probably somewhere in the area of about 40 meetings. We've been to almost every community, and we've heard the people. And I believe that you're going to come away from here tonight realizing again that we have begun to develop a model, and we're going to continue to develop a model that's going to ensure that the town of Hobe Sound continues to be a beacon and a great place to live, for years and years to come. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John Culpepper. I'm sure some of you probably heard me on the Nextdoor and Facebook pages trying to spread information about the town and what's going on. As Pat said, when I first heard about this, I was basically very suspicious. I was against it. I was afraid there was developers that were doing it. Went to the first meeting, started asking the guys how to do it, like, who's doing this? They're like, we are. I'm like, oh, okay, well, why? They explained why, which they will get into a little bit more detail later. Once they went through the first meeting, I thought it made kind of sense. They were actually looking for volunteers for the charter and feasibility committees. And I said, okay, well, I've got a little background in that type of stuff, so I can probably help out. So I signed up as a volunteer to do that. Through the next 2 years, I kind of asked so many questions of the gentleman that did our feasibility report that I kind of became the numbers guy. So I'm the numbers guy now. So I'll go ahead and get right into the numbers part so we can finish up with our presentation so we can get to the questions, which I'm sure a lot of you have. Basically, the way the numbers work to support our town. Everybody wants to know, are our taxes going to go up? How are we going to pay for this? Those are the biggest questions I seem to get from everybody. The way that it works here is right now you pay your ad valorem taxes and your tangible business taxes to the county for the county services. Those tax dollars are still going to go to the county for the same services. As the fire and the police will tell you, they're going to provide the same level of service for the same amount of money that we just give right back to the town. Now we're going to need to run the town. We're going to have to pay for a few town staff, town manager, assistant town manager, clerk, things like that, as well as the board. The board only gets $5,000 each per year, so that's only $20,000, which isn't much. The way that we pay for that is we pay for that through state shared revenue. Now, state shared revenue is sales tax money that we don't get now as a town. That all goes to the county and other municipalities. Once we incorporate, we qualify for state shared revenue. The state estimates we'll get about $2 million a year from state shared revenue to help run our town. Also, there's a Florida Power and Light uphill franchise agreement that you're currently with through the county. That will provide roughly another $800,000 to $1 million. So we're looking at between $2.8 and $3 million coming into the town of non-tax dollars from you guys. This is just sales tax dollars from all over the state, from the hotels on the beach, everywhere, that are going to be paying to run our town. So that's basically the gist of how it works. We have charts and numbers and everything up here, so we can get into the details of how much the town council is going to cost, how much the employees are going to cost, how we're going to do planning and zoning and all of that. But I'll go ahead and pass it over to Mike and let him give his presentation, and then we get to the questions, because like I said, I'm sure you have a lot of them. So we'll go to Mike Ennis.
Thank you, John. Takes me a minute here, sorry. Thank you all for coming. We had a little kickoff party, went real good at Harry's, and we want everybody to come. Whether you think you're for this or against this, the only way for you to really get the information is to show up at the meetings. Because as we all know, rumors are rumors, things go around. But real quick, I'm going to give you a real quick history. I also have Chief Tebow from the Sheriff's Department here, and I have Chief Schobel from the Fire Department here. They're going to come up after I am to explain to you about your services, because the services will not change. The whole idea behind doing this, and as Pat alluded to, we talked about this for years. Years ago, we would have had to create a fire department, a police department, and everything else. You don't have to do that anymore. You can do it all with interlocal agreements with the county that you're in. This is not for us to succeed from the county. We're part of Martin County. We'll always be part of Martin County. We'll still have a representative on the commission from Martin County, besides the fact that we will have our own 5 district members that we will vote for on our own to govern our town, to keep track of our money, to make sure our money stays in our town, so that we have the say on what development goes on in our town, what changes go on in our town. This is not another layer of government. This is bringing the government to you. This doesn't mean that you have to try to get 3 minutes at 9 o'clock in the morning up in Martin County to talk to 5 commissioners, 4 of them who are not even from Hobe Sound and basically don't even really know Hobe Sound. This means you'll be going to meetings that we'll conduct in the evening so that the regular people, the working people, and all the rest of us can come to the meeting. You can have your say, you won't be shut out. The other good part about this is, I know it's hard for all of us to see our commissioners because they don't live around here. But if you have 5 council people from this area and you're in Publix or Winn-Dixie or wherever you shop and you don't think they're doing a good job, it's easy enough to let them know and let them know right there. That's about bringing the government home. Now, real quick, and just so everybody's got a background, this map over here is what we're trying to incorporate. The map and the reason why we picked that area was by going by the state statute. The state of Florida has certain requirements. First, you're going to be a condensed area. You're not going to be spread out. No donut holes in the middle of it, and so many people per acre. We found that this fit all that criteria. This was put up, and we started this in October of 2015. In 2015, Stewart was annexing down towards Cove Road. You have to be 2 miles away unless there's a natural barrier. The waterway is our natural barrier from the town of Jupiter Island. But if they had kept annexing, and we're at this for over 2 years now, and they had gotten south of Cove Road, the state would tell us no. Sorry, you can't do it. So as I tell everybody, the chicken's got to get out of the egg first. We tried to put together a good egg that we knew could get through the state. We have been through the state. We've had all our numbers reviewed from the state. These numbers here are from the state. The state's not going to let you do this if you can't afford to do it. We went through the House. We got a unanimous vote, 1 vote in the House. We got a unanimous in the Senate. The governor signed us off. You would think after 2 years that's like your town. All that did was say, okay guys, you can have a referendum from the people that live in your town and let them vote on it. So we were happy to get that far. That was a lot of work to get that far. And we feel real strong about what we're doing. Alfred mentioned it and Pat mentioned it. I grew up in Lake Worth. I came up here 35 years ago. I love this little town. I love our little shops. We're one of the last little seacoast towns that hasn't been overrun and developed. I mean, we're one of the few places that you can go 2 miles off the beach and it's still rural land. And you have a beautiful downtown, small shops. We all get together. We all see each other. All of us see each other through town. That's what we're looking to keep. We're not looking for big box to come in here. We're not looking for all the corporate America stuff to come. Don't get me wrong. Some people are going to bring some franchise stuff and it'll fit and it'll come. But our idea is, one of it is to clean up some of the zoning that the county never cleaned up. We have parts in residential areas that are zoned hotel on the waterway. They had 30 years to clear it up. They haven't cleared it up yet. And we've got future land use. This map right here is current land use. It's not future land use. The state didn't allow us to use future land use. They wanted current land use. So that's why you'll see a couple things. What the difference is you may be sitting on a piece of agricultural property or rural R3 zoning, not a very high density zoning, where the future land use may take you to commercial or something like that. That changes when you go to redevelop the land. That change is controlled by the county. It's not controlled by us. So that's been our big point. You've got 4 commissioners up there. If they said, hey, trailer park's going away, this guy wants to make it general commercial, we want Walmart. And we've got 1 commissioner going, they don't want Walmart. And the other 4 go, yeah, but we think it fits. And they go stick it in there. And that's what it's about government, your government. You come to your meetings, people come up with a ridiculous idea like that, I would expect everybody to say, no, we don't want it. It ends right there. I saw a thing in the paper today, and I'm only going to bring this up real quick. North Palm Beach. We all know where North Palm Beach is. North Palm Beach is an incorporated town. There's a little piece by the intercoastal that is unincorporated Palm Beach County. It's unincorporated. It's controlled by Palm Beach County. 800 residents showed up to the county commission meeting. The town of North Palm Beach showed up. Said, we don't want this rezoned. Their commission rezoned it. Did it yesterday. Rezoned it. Said, sorry guys, it's our land. We can do what we want to do. I do want to move on to questions. So right now, I would like to introduce Chief Tebow, if he would come up. They're gonna explain to you about our services. We pay our taxes through our ad valorem taxes, how we pay the sheriff's department. That is not gonna change, you're still gonna pay that. So he's gonna explain to you that we're gonna keep our services, and we'll be good to go. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. Mike just told you the crux of the whole story. The Sheriff's Office is your law enforcement agency for Martin County. The Sheriff is the Chief Law Enforcement Officer for Martin County. We provide the law enforcement services here. That's only one portion of what we provide for the overall county, which you are part of right now. We will continue to provide those services. We have road patrol, which are your most visible seen deputies that are out there in the green and whites that are patrolling around your neighborhoods to keep it safe. We have investigators that handle the investigation if there's a report or a crime that occurs that we follow up. We have the helicopter up in the sky. We have the jail. We have the deputies that you see over at courthouse. That's all part of the shared services. The thing that most everyone, and I guess this is about the third or fourth meeting that I've been to, a couple of years ago we started coming to these meetings. The biggest concern is, are we going to spend more, or are we going to keep the services we have? As far as the Sheriff's Office is concerned, the money that you spend to support the Sheriff's Office right now, to pay the salaries of the deputies and run the agency, keep the jail open, and keep all of those cars filled with gas and everything else that you see, will continue to remain the same. The money goes from your town to the county, and the county gives it to the Sheriff's Office to run the agency. Nothing else changes. We will have the same amount of deputies that you have now. If you have a need presently, and in the future, if you decide to incorporate or not, if you have a need that you need traffic enforcement in a certain area, we can dedicate the deputies to come down here. We can dedicate the motor units to come down here, the traffic units, which we do presently and we will continue to do. Nothing changes whatsoever. If, in fact, that you want, and whoever becomes, if you do become incorporated and you become a town and the mayor and the manager say, hey, we want one motor unit dedicated to our town, then that would be an additional cost. But what you have right now and what you have access to right now, all of the overlay, all of the other services that the Sheriff's Office provides, you will continue to get. So nothing will change. We will continue to be a law enforcement agency. Sheriff Snyder will continue to be your sheriff as long as you continue to elect him. And that's pretty much the crux. I don't have any charts or graphs or anything else. I just wanted to explain, that's it. What you pay now for what you get is what you're going to continue to get. All right?
Did you want to do questions now or after?
No, we're gonna bring you in.
Okay. Thank you.
We have Chief Showalter coming up, and he is running the fire department for us right now.
Thank you, sir.
Tell you tall people.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming and giving me a chance to explain about your fire department. My name is Bill Schobel. I am your fire rescue chief, and had the opportunity of moving over here from a very congested area, Tampa, St. Pete, about 8 years ago, and I've never looked back. My family and I love it here, and we plan on staying here as long as we can. It's fantastic. One thing about fire rescue agencies, most people think they're just a fire truck and a rescue truck or an ambulance. That's it. Your fire rescue agency is a lot more. We're one of the only truly full-service fire rescue agencies in the state of Florida, meaning that the 911 dispatchers that pick up your call are part of fire rescue. The lifeguards out at the beach are part of fire rescue. Obviously the firefighters and the paramedics and so forth, but also we have emergency management, constantly preparing for hurricanes and so forth, part of fire rescue. Special operations like your hazardous materials calls and your other special areas like aeromedical, medevac units, that's a part of fire rescue. And There's only, I believe, one other agency in the state of Florida that does all that. So with that, it's a very diverse pot of money, because the general fund actually funds a lot of the things that everybody uses in the county, like the 911 dispatchers, the lifeguards, emergency management, the aeromedical unit. Everybody has an opportunity to use that. But the unincorporated area that Martin County Fire Rescue serves is really only minus City of Stewart, Jupiter Island, which we help them out quite a bit as well, and Sewell's Point. Now, the expanded area of City of Stewart, we help them cover some of those areas, and then in return, they help us out by coming in when we need them, because obviously, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but has traffic really lightened up yet? Yeah, no. We hope. But one of the most important things is our call load is trending upward. So as a good neighbor, we help out City of Stewart Fire Rescue, they help us out. It's a good reciprocal way of doing things. But I'd like to refer to this chart over here. You see the yellow area over here on the left, and that's Indiantown. And with their recent incorporation, one of the questions they had was, can we continue to have the same services? Of course you can. Because it's a larger area, geographical area, we have more people and more units that cover that area. Well, your proposed incorporated area is kind of long, and it doesn't just involve the station here at Hobe Sound, right around the corner here, or actually almost a stone's throw from here. We also have the County Line Road Station that comes up and helps out, and the Ridgeway Station that comes down and helps out quite a bit. And even when the three of them are busy, Salerno might come down and help out. So we have that redundancy built in. So when if you decide to incorporate, everything goes fine. Again, act as a pass-through, you're still, the cost is the same, and you still get the same service with all the expanded benefits. It's just literally acting as a pass-through as you collect and then provide that to the county, which they turn over to the fund for fire rescue. So hopefully that explains it.
So what we're gonna do now is, because everybody's here, we know everybody has questions, and we, as hard as we try, we never cover everything. So what we try to do is we try to use this last hour or so totally for questions. We have a microphone that'll roll around so we can get your questions. So we'll go ahead and start taking them now.
And I am going to hold the mic up for you. I am not going to hand you the mic. We've done that in the past, and then we never get the mic back. So don't be offended, please.
Thanks. Just want to follow up with the fire and the sheriff. So just walk me through. The town of Hobe Sound enters into a contract with Martin County, and it's Martin County's responsibility to enter into a contract with the services to provide that to us. Is that how it works contractually? That would just help me, like,
So the way it works
I
is,
understand the services.
okay, the way it works is, if you look at your tax bill, you're gonna see your ad valorem tax. Our sheriff's department is actually paid out of our ad valorem tax. Some of the fire rescue, I think, may come out of that, but the fire rescue is in MSTU. You'll see it listed right there, fire rescue. So what the town will do is, the town will collect that fee and give that to Martin County. And then Martin County will still provide the services. Now, we've spent, and John has spent, an incredible number of hours with the Martin County staff and the Martin County administrator. Typically, those things are done, and the county says, okay, we'll do this for you, but it costs you this. The county administrator said, it's a straight swap. You collect it, give it to us, just like you've been doing that, that's the cost, stays the same.
So on the town budget, we would see the revenue, if we look deep into your numbers, we would see the revenue from that, as well as the expense, and it would be offsetting. I would imagine that that's probably one of your largest line items. Is that right?
Basically, what happens is the MSTUs will actually convert and be considered the Town of Hobe Sound tax. So it's gonna, all of your MSTUs are your fire, your parks, your roads, and your drainage. Those will just flip and just change the name. The amounts will stay the same, everything will stay the same. The check, instead of staying with the county, the check will come to us, we'll endorse it, give it right back to the county for the same services.
That's called a wash, right?
Thanks.
John, could you expound on the FPL franchise fees, please?
Sure. The FPL franchise fee agreement is basically an agreement with Florida Power and Light. Currently, Martin County has an agreement with Florida Power and Light. The agreement that Martin County has is basically the money that they collect goes towards road improvements. It adds up to being roughly 6% on your electric bill. So if your electric bill is $200 a month, there's an additional $12 fee every month on your electric bill right now, which goes directly to the county. The Florida Power and Light does not pitch in at all. All they do is they bill you for it, they collect it, they give it to the county, and it goes for, the county has it earmarked for roads. Does that answer your question, or you want more detail?
No, explain your,
No, doesn't answer my question. Why do you presume that this franchise fee should be imposed on the, quote, town of Hobe? No, it's already imposed on the unincorporated areas of Martin County. Once Hobe Sound became a town, there would not be any franchise fees. So you would enter into a new agreement with FPL and impose this fee that we've already been paying on our electric bills. This would be, to some people, they would consider it a tax. They would be grateful that, oh, I don't have to pay that fee anymore because I'm not in Martin County, now I'm in the town of Hobe Sound.
And you basically, what you're saying is correct. The county, once we incorporate, I'm sorry?
I just have one more part, and then somebody else take it. Isn't this a decision that will be made by the council people who are elected by the people
I was gonna answer that.
and not by the group, in all due
I
respect?
was gonna answer that. So basically, the franchise agreement is currently with the county. Once we incorporate, the franchise agreement with the county is only for unincorporated counties. So the county agreement, the county franchise agreement does not cover Stewart, does not cover Sewell's Point, or any of the other municipalities. It's not included there. For example, Jupiter Island is not involved in a franchise agreement. They don't need the money, they don't do it. The franchise agreement doesn't really give us anything per se, other than funding for the town. It doesn't give us really any considerations at all from Florida Power and Light. So to answer your question, I don't know if I would really support it. We don't necessarily need it. If we get $2 million from state share revenue, we don't have to have that franchise fee. We don't have to sign up for it. So we could actually save 6% on our electric bills, that $12 a month if we wanted to. But as you said, that is a decision that's up to the town council. Personally, I believe that we could, once we start getting our state check revenue and everything and make it through the first year and start seeing that roughly $2 million plus whatever grants and things that we can get in here, we should have enough money to be able to run our town without that franchise fee agreement. So I don't really know if we need to get into the franchise fee agreement. I don't know if I would recommend doing that.
But again, that would be up to the council with the public's input at council meetings for that.
Precisely.
On the chart there, it says yellow is in the town. Would you tell me what the other colors are?
and he explained to her that this isn't all we need.
No, it's not, here. That's a great question. I didn't explain it well enough earlier. The colors are response zones. It's not necessarily Indian Town, the village of Indian Town proper. It's the response zones that station covers. So the bottom alert, I'm referring over here. That's our county line road station. That's their entire response zone. Here, thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, perfect. This is the station right here, station 32 in the red, and that's the response zone. Everything is divvied up for two things. You look at denseness of population served, but you also look at response times, because we have a comp plan that we follow, and we're held to that level of service. So we have to make it to your doorstep or place of business in a certain amount of minutes for either a medical call or for a fire. And based on road travel and everything else, this is how we do this. Now, this station out here is challenging. I'm not stationed at 24 out in Indiantown. It's very challenging to get to some of the areas, and that is considered rural, so we have longer to get there. But everybody, your property insurance rates are governed by the Insurance Services Office, and they come in and they rate us. And what they do is they rate us as a fire department and just how well we do and respond to calls. So with that, they look at response times, they look at the ability to deliver water, our 911 system, and several other things, just capabilities of firefighters, training. It's a complex formula, but the bottom line is a lot of our response zones are laid out so we can get to you quickly and efficiently as we can based on the number of stations we have and the staffing that we have. Obviously, if we had more stations and more people, that would be great, we could get to you quicker, but then again, that drives up cost. So it's all about balance. And the founding forefathers of fire rescue knew, obviously, predominantly, where is most of the population in Martin County? It's up against the coast. But then we have a large population out here in Indiantown as well, so obviously that needs to be serviced. And as we look, Palm City is continually getting larger and larger. It'll drive the need for a Western Palm City station eventually, and it's just based on the population growth. So does that answer your question? Good.
What is that other map?
I'm sorry?
This map?
She asked what the other map was.
Yeah, this map is the, hang on. I can probably hold this, do this all.
You gonna hold it for you?
So what we got, this will be the limits of the town of Hobe Sound. And it starts up at Osprey, and it runs from US 1 all the way over to the Intercoastal. Then it makes its way all the way down to Jonathan Dickinson Park, south of here. This is Jonathan Dickinson Park, that whole area coming down here. This line right here is the second urban service line. That's where the county says you're allowed to build right now. So we stopped at the second urban service line. Okay, this line going back up, the majority of this land here is called the Atlantic Ridge Preserve. It's another state preserve, is what that is. And then this is where the Methodist Church is. Now this is the Medalist and the MacArthur Club. And we've got some people that ask. There's a lot of golf course, a lot of empty land. MacArthur Club has absolutely nobody who lives in it. So as we were counting population, how many people per acre, that started throwing us out of the chart that the state asked for. We have 15,000 people in this area, is what we do. We have 8,000, a little over 8,000 registered voters in this area. If anybody, when we get done, anybody else has any other questions about this map, I'll sit here all night and talk to you about the map if you need to. But as I said earlier, the idea was to get the chicken out of the egg, so that's how we started. Thank you very much.
My name is Barry McLaughlin. I live here in Hobe Sound. I want to say thank you to the people who organized this meeting tonight. I'm pleased to see such a strong turnout. Mike, I have two questions, or a two-part question. First off, is the question that's going to be on the ballot on August 28th, has it been prepared? And the second question is, once again, can you reaffirm who is eligible to vote in that election regarding this topic?
Okay, the actual verbiage that'll be on the ballot is not prepared, but the basic thing is, do you vote to incorporate Hobe Sound? It's gonna be a yes or a no. I'm sure there'll be a couple extra words because somebody's gonna say something. Okay, and the way it works is, you have to live in that area to vote for it. That's the whole idea about local government. If you live in that area, you'll be voting on the ballot on August 28th. You have to be a registered voter in this area. So if you're registered, well, we've got, I just heard that too, so I'll get to that. So if you rent and you're a registered voter here, you vote. If you own a house and you live here, you're registered here to vote, you vote. If you go back and forth from up north, but this is where you vote, then you will get an absentee ballot. They're available from Vicki Davis's office. You can go online, we did a little research on this. You can go online and put your address where you'll be up north. They will send you the ballot so that you can vote.
Hi, my name is Andy Mydock, and I lived here for 30 years, and I just have some questions. I'm not really decided yet. I have friends that are for it and friends that are against it. So can you guys, I'm undecided. Can you guys give me like the top 5 reasons for doing this and the top 5 reasons people say do not do it? Just curious.
Lucky me. Well, try to keep it as short as possible. Basically, we've been down a little bit more. Probably the top 5 reasons, actually Mike's probably better at the 5 reasons for, because he has the history of dealing with the county a lot more than I do, but basically, I'll do the against, I'll let Mike do the for, how's that? Probably the primary questions against are another layer of government, our taxes are gonna go up, let me see what else. God, I hear hundreds of them all the time. It's hard to run through really quick.
Just hang on.
We made a list. So yeah, one of the complaints was, why did we stop at the border? Mike explained that was the density issue. People are happy with the quality of Martin County. Why are we coming away from Martin County? Mike, I believe, will explain that, or has explained it as far as why we are needing to move away from the county and get our own voice in government and get our own local voice where we control our decisions here with the zoning and development in this town, because we all want to keep it like it is as much as possible. It's going to grow, but we all want to try to maintain and control that growth to a degree where it doesn't explode on us, as we've seen in Jupiter and Stewart and other areas. Again, one of the other issues is the taxes will go up. We've pretty much shown through all of our studies, as well as through state studies, that our taxes are not going to go up. We're going to have at least $2 million a year in state shared revenue to run our town. We're going to be running on a skeleton crew with the town, which is basically going to be a town manager, assistant manager, clerk, administrative staff, and then our finance people. Probably run through a company that we contract with, a local company, that is led basically by local people. So we'll have like a local manager and some local professionals that can work together to run the town on pretty much a shoestring budget. We'll rent an office maybe over in the Publix Plaza or somewhere around town. The costs will be minimal. I estimate myself, I actually drove a budget, I estimated the budget probably be a little bit under $1 million a year. The state estimated it at $1.6 million per year, but they based that on a population of 15,000 people, and they compared that to other towns that have 15,000 people that have a lot of employees and vehicles and things like that.
I got one.
Okay.
So everybody always says to me, well, why do we want to change it? It's great the way it is. We love it the way it is. And Andy Mydock, you've been here 30 years. How was it 30 years ago? It was a lot better. You ask my mom, who's been here, she was born in 1939, one of the first babies in that hospital in Stewart, and she'll talk for about 3 hours about how good it was back then and how bad it's changed. So if you like it now and you don't want it to change, now's the time to do this, to try and keep it the way it is. Because like Alfred said at the beginning, we're not going to get a chance to go back and do this again. It's, this is it. So. And Michael, you were going to give the other side of that?
Yeah, I'll give you just a little bit of the pros, but one of the biggest part of the pros is being able to control the destiny of the town. You can't control the destiny of the town if you don't control the zoning in the town. Martin County controls our zoning. Now, the other thing that's going to benefit us is that we'll have our own building official, and there's several ways to actually take care of the staffing. It can be done through another building department. It can be done through private engineers. Building is paid for by building permits. And I've never seen a building department that's broke. They always have plenty of money. If you go pull a permit, you'll understand why. So that's the biggest pros to this. The other part about it is we want to be able to see, and be able to function as a town, as ourselves. We just don't want the outside influence anymore. That's what we're trying to get rid of. There is a handout. If I don't know if I've answered all your questions or not, but go ahead.
I'm foaming at the mouth. My name is Elaine Elwell, and I've been here for 30 years. And 30 years ago, when my family moved here, have you all noticed 30 years ago, our roads in Martin County were really pretty well maintained? If the Hobe Sound, if we become a town, will the town of Hobe Sound maintain our roads and streets in Hobe Sound?
Okay, to start off with, because you can't grab everything. To start off with, what we're starting off is, like John said, a skeleton crew. So the thinking here is that Martin County is still getting paid to maintain the roads. The difference is, if you have a road in front of your house that's not doing very well and they haven't maintained it, you get on the phone by yourself or your neighbors and you go, hey, I need this road fixed. Well, the difference is the town will have its own development and code enforcement riding around, and the town goes back to the county, says you need to fix these roads up. The best case scenario is, because it's our money, it's not like they're using their money, we're paying for it. The best case scenario is we watch our roads, and when they cut our roads up to 90% complete, we take our roads over. When we do take them over, we have to be ready. We have to have built up some money in a fund. We got to be ready to maintain it. Now, what we do pick up when we maintain the roads is we now start picking up some of the gas tax. So that's what goes into the kitty to maintain it. But as we said before, if you try to jump right off the bat and get it. Another thing on your point, code enforcement. It's a plus because code enforcement's usually handled by a building department. So Martin County has 2 or 3 code enforcement people that cover this entire county. We'll now have somebody as a building official, it's only so much of a job, who will wind up doing code enforcement. So if you see derelict stuff, things that aren't right, you'll be able to contact the town direct to get that taken care of and get it looked at.
But also, you're going to be dealing with a town council of people you know, so if there's a case where somebody needs help or somebody, it's not going to be some kind of deal like you hear about from the county where some poor little old lady's getting a $500 fine every day for 20 years or something.
It should never be like that in your own town, because we're all neighbors. And there always are instances like that.
My name is Edgar Harris, Senior, and I've been here 73 years. I kind of know Hobe Sound backwards and forward, through the woods, through the trails and everything else. Now, how can you say it would not cost any more expensive, but now you're going to have the sheriff, you're going to have the clerk, the sheriff assistant, you're going to have the police department. All of this costs money.
Finish your sentence.
I came to some of the other meetings, and the gentleman told us that they're going to have police cars, police support.
Okay, I'll have the sheriff come back up if you'd like. That's why I had him here tonight, for exactly what you asked about, because I've heard that rumor too. And the reason why we didn't try to do this years ago was we would have had to do exactly what you said. We would have to buy police cars, we would have to put a police chief in place, we would have to put an assistant in place. You are paying for the sheriff. You are paying through the sheriff right now in your ad valorem tax on your tax bill. You're paying for the sheriff. So let Chief Tebow go through this one more time with you. We are not going to have to hire our own police department. But let him go ahead and go through that so you understand.
Yes, sir. When when we had spoke, I guess it was 2 years ago in that other meeting, it was different presentations, whether you wanted to start your own or whether you wanted to keep the sheriff's office.
Did you say that?
If you wanted to keep the sheriff's office and keep everything as is, everything will remain the same. What you pay to the county will continue to provide all the services that you presently get. And that's everything. That's the road patrol deputies, that's the investigators, that's the motor units, that's the boats that you have on the intercoastal, that's the helicopter you see in the air, that's the support personnel, that's the animal services unit, that's those lovely ladies and men that are on the side of the schools, that are school crossing guards. They're all part of the sheriff's office, and they will be provided for the same amount that you pay presently. If you wanted additional people that were only assigned to your city, that would be an additional expense. And that's exactly what it is.
Now, I would like to know why this other section of Hobe Sound is all colored in. What about Banner Lake?
Okay, this is a zoning map. All these colors represent what zoning is on.
What about Banner Lake?
Banner Lake is right here.
I see a sign down there say Banner Lake. I can see that.
Yeah. Banner Lake,
It's got an arrow on it.
it just has an arrow on it. It just has an arrow on it. It's Banner Lake.
Well, I see, all this is colored in, but this is Banner Lake.
No, sir. No, sir. That's just an arrow showing that this is Banner Lake. This is Jonathan Dickinson State Park.
It didn't say Jonathan.
No,
That's what I was saying.
See the arrow? See how it's an arrow?
How can I see an arrow when I'm back here?
I stay here all night, talk about this map as much as you want, because I'm working right there in the community.
I want to include Banner Lake too.
Oh, absolutely. We don't want to forget anybody. You know, and this gentleman brings up a good point. I spent 8 hours in a car with this consultant before we did anything. I spent 8 hours. I drove him on every single road on this map. Dirt road, dead-end road, roads that went through. We went through Old Hills Papaya Village. We went through Banner Lake. We went all the way up here in Hope Heights. We drove every road. The reason why we did that is he wanted to see what our population was like, how diverse our population is. Got out of that truck after 8 hours. He said this is one of the most diverse populations for a small town that he's seen. We've got houses on the water. We've got houses, just regular working people houses. We've got some golf courses and stuff in here. We have a well-rounded town, a very diverse town and population. To me, that is so important. That's what makes a town work so well, is that everybody, no matter what your means are, no matter where you live, that you can go to the same shopping centers, the same stores, see each other like we do now. We're a cordial town. We all deal with each other. We all respect each other. I spent a lot of time with him, so he got to see the background of this town. The last thing we want to do is change the background of this town.
My name is Kelly Dillard. I'm from the Padwick Park area. I think, Mike, you might be able to answer my question. If we were incorporated here, how would that affect, I have 3 questions, the NAC?
Mike Manus is here too, and he sits on our NAC board right now. So the NAC is part of the community redevelopment area, the CRA for the whole county. There are 7 sections of it. Okay, Indiantown was a section. So what they'll do is, and we're still working with the county on how the transition will go, projects that are already started by the CRA in this area, even after incorporation, will be finished. The town itself, when it incorporates, can then do its own CRA area and start working. But for people who have, and I think up in your way they're doing some work, and there's some work they're supposed to be doing on Bridge Road finally, any of those projects that are started will be finished under the NAC CRA rules.
Okay, one other thing is, if we were incorporated already, how would that affect things like fire hydrants in Hobe Sound? I mean, they're talking about the wonderful fire access that we'll have, when in my area, we only have one fire hydrant. Or how would it affect traffic calming when, if we were incorporated, would racetrack be going in at the end of Patway Street? I mean, you know, I'm just wondering, if we were incorporated, how would that have affected that?
All right, so let's take the fire hydrants first. All the water, anybody on city water in here, you're paying SMRU for your water, and if you have sewer, you're paying the sewer through SMRU. They are a private entity. They will not change. Now, as far as fire departments, and you can correct me if I get a little bit off on this, but they're supposed to have enough fire hydrants where they have city water to cover those areas. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, they're supposed to have it. So that's also SMRU. That's part of, it's a private entity, but it falls under public utility. So they're supposed to take care of that. Now, as far as racetrack coming in up at Petway and US 1, that's already an approved zoning project. That is coming. Okay, it is coming. Now, when you get into zoning and zoning issues, that is being built where an existing gas station was. So that property owner has the right to keep a gas station there. No town, no municipality, or everybody can walk over to him and go, well, you had a gas station, you can't have it anymore. Doesn't work that way. The zoning stuff we're talking about is if that hadn't been a gas station and they wanted to put a gas station, that's a rezoning change. That's something the town can do.
Okay, I only have one other question. If we were already incorporated, how would that affect our beach access? The governor signed a bill where they're going to be private, making more of Florida beaches private. I mean, you know, that's why we live here, because we love the beach. We already don't have enough parking and different things. If we were, could we oppose that if we were incorporated, or because he signed the bill, it's in effect, you might not be able to go to the beach and enjoy the 150 feet or whatever?
That's a very good point. And I read the article and I read the governor signed it, and I've lived along this coast my whole life. And I can remember back in the 60s when they ran fences out so people couldn't go in and out. And the state had gotten rid of that, said you can't do it anymore. And now the state seems to have instituted a policy that it could come back. We have our public beach at the end of Bridge Road. That'll always stay the same. One thing that we do have, and I know that a lot of people don't want to pay to go to the beach, but the Reed family, in all their wisdom, had dedicated the north 5 miles of Jupiter Island to state and wildlife preserve. That will stay the same. I pay $80 for the national park pass, and you can go any national park, and you go to that beach, it's all included in your stuff. That our beach access is what it is, but your point is well taken. We would hope that our neighbors across the way, and I've never heard of anybody tearing everything up in their house, that they would be as cordial as they have been, and we could still walk up and down our beach. But that is totally up to the owners now.
But, and this is to do with the fire hydrants also, once Hobe Sound, if Hobe Sound were to become a town, that's a voting block, a group that can go to the county or to whomever and say, look, we need some more fire hydrants. You could go to your council person and say, we don't have enough fire hydrants in our neighborhood. The town could contact SMRU and say, look, what can we do about this? And when they're dealing with a whole town instead of, 5 or 10 people, they might do that. Now, as far as the beach access, once Hobe Sound were to become a town, believe me, we've tried to get information of them. They've been very friendly. There's something called the League of Cities. We can't do anything with the League of Cities until we become a city or a town or whatever. But once we do, they do a lot of lobbying at the state, and there's ways, they passed the bill. They made it legal to walk on the beach once. They've taken it away. It could always come back. That's how government works, especially in Florida.
Hi, I'm Donna, and first of all, I want to say I have so much respect for our fire department and our police department. I was going to talk about how when you become a municipality, you only have homestead protection for a half acre. So if you have more than a half acre, you're going to pay taxes, lawsuits, whatever. But you can only homestead a half acre. Second of all, when you add a layer of government on, taxes are going to go up. We'll pay ad valorem here, and we'll pay it to the county. So getting away from the homestead thing, everything that the county provides, we have to pay for it and provide it. The thing that's bothering me now is I'm hearing a lot of shoulds, and we will. Like, we should be able to do it without the FP&L franchise. Okay, and our, a town council manager, a staff, even though it's a skeleton staff, I don't think they're gonna be working for free. And the shoestring budget, how many council members? I would like to know, and then you're gonna contract with a development company or a company to work to handle this all. I would really like to know ahead of time, what's this gonna cost? Because for me, my taxes are high enough. I'm one of those people that came from an incorporated area, Jupiter, to get away from that. I saw what happened in Loxahatchee, where it turned out opposite, because of course, they said, we'll keep it rural, and then they said, well, no, we're paving roads. But all that stuff, roads and, paving this and improvement, that's gonna be Hobe Sound's responsibility. Flooding, transportation, assisted living, any facilities, commercial development, affordable housing, roads, transportation, planning, zoning, etc. That's the municipalities, that's what they pay for. So if you say, well, the taxes shouldn't go up that much, I don't like to deal with shouldn't, because except maybe for this year in the federal government, taxes go up. And when you deal in indefinites, like, well, we should be able to do it without franchise money, and we'll do this, and we should be able, just like when the government says, well, this project's gonna cost 20 million. Well, by now, multiply that 10 times at least, because that's just the price to get in the door, to get a foot in. But after that, prices start going up. And I'm just saying, my taxes are high enough. I moved here because I didn't want to live in an incorporated area. When I moved to Jupiter in '82, it was a lot like Hobe Sound. And now I even hate to drive down there because of the traffic, and they've built everywhere they could possibly build. So now that they're moving up here. And I'm very cautious when you don't have definite figures. How much is that company that's going to run this thing going to cost? How much is the manager or the council members paid? What's it going to cost? I know you don't have to pay benefits, and even the council members don't have to live there, just the manager. But instead of indefinite, I'd really like to know figures and the financial impact on our taxes. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. You brought up an array of stuff. All right, so I'm going to hit a couple of things, and John will hit some other ones for you. First, one of the reasons why we're doing this, and we went back and looked, the town on the state shared revenues is going to be able to support itself the same as it is right now. There is no tax increase to start. Now, let me explain something to you, because I see you laughing. Did you just take a tax increase from Martin County?
Yes.
Did we all just not get a tax increase from Martin County? No, we just took a tax increase from Martin County. So even if we didn't incorporate, it doesn't mean your taxes are going to stay the same. you're still gonna take a tax increase from Martin County if they want to increase your taxes. That's simple enough on that. Now, the other part about it is the town does build up a little kitty. You went right into roads and everything else with roads. We just got done explaining about the roads. Right now, you're already paying for the roads. You're gonna continue to pay for the roads, same as you are now. Stormwater, all the rest of it. That's not gonna change. Now, you brought up Loxahatchee Groves. I don't know how many people know Loxahatchee Groves, but I've known Loxahatchee Groves since before they put any houses out there, when it was the Groves. First thing Loxahatchee Groves did when they incorporated is they said, hey, we're taking it all. We're gonna take the roads, we're gonna take everything. What they forgot to do was look at the condition of their roads. That's what happened to Loxahatchee. They took over roads that the county hadn't maintained. The county kept digging the dirt out, kept digging the dirt out. Nobody cared about it. So Loxahatchee wound up footing the bill. We just said that we don't want to take our roads till the county's got them all up to snuff. And they're all good. So we don't get caught with what you're talking about. Another point you made is Jupiter, 1982, when you moved to Jupiter, it was a town. It was an incorporated town. I used to come up in the 70s out of Lake Worth. We were an incorporated town, and I actually grew up in the city of Atlantis, which is still a little city, never grown, never changed, because that's what they wanted to do. Jupiter turned around and had taken, when they incorporated big swoops of undeveloped land. When they first set up their thing, and John's from Jupiter, he can tell you, they had a bunch of undeveloped land. The majority of our stuff's already developed. What we have is mostly redeveloped. So Jupiter sat there with that unincorporated land. People came in, the locals didn't watch what was going on, and next thing you know, nobody was real happy with what went on. This is all about functioning as a group. If you don't want, I don't want my taxes to go up. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that your taxes will never go up, because Martin County's liable to take your taxes up. So there is no difference in there. Now, as far as what it's costing us to run this town, we did our homework. So we have 5 council members, right? And we put together in our charter that we figure if you really believe in this town and you want it to stay the way it is, that you're going to be willing to be elected as a council member and get a whopping salary of $5,000 a year.
And they do have to live in the...
And they have to live here. They have to live here for over a year before they can come in here and be a council member. They can't just fly in on the next development train and say, I'm here. We thought a lot about what you brought up. This is not, like I said, we've been at this for over 2 years. So it's in our charter. You have to live here. You can't just move in and 6 months later run. If you're willing to take a $5,000 paycheck to be a city council member, I'm going to think that you're civic-minded enough to care about the town, because it's definitely not for the money. That was the whole idea behind that. We are not creating a giant layer of government to start bankrolling all these other people. Now, John's going to give you a couple specifics about how we came up with the town manager and to pay all that. Because we don't want you to walk out of here just going, oh, they're just going to blow it out of the sky. It's not the plan. Good.
Actually, those were very good questions. Basically, I have a little budget that I prepared. It wasn't really for release yet, but if anybody would like to take a look at our draft budget, you're more than welcome to pick up a copy of it. Our draft budget is showing our total salaries for the town at total salaries. That's including the mayor and council salary, all the salaries, the contract services, operating overhead, insurance, the local elections for the first year, the audit, our capital equipment for purchasing our desks, our computers, and all of that stuff, office rental and contingency. Total is $936,000. Now we're going to get, as I said, $3 million from state shared revenue and franchise fees if the town council decides to do the franchise fees. If not, we'll get about $2 million. but our expenses will only be $936,000. That leaves us with $1 million to put in the bank every year. The money that you were talking about for the fire and the sheriff, that's separate from the state shared revenue. That's your actual, ad valorem taxes, which come out right now to just under $3 million a year. That $3 million is going back to the county to pay for the sheriff, the fire, the drainage, the roads, the parks, all of those services that you pay for now. We're not gonna be taking those tasks on. As Mike said, we're not gonna take those on for years. We don't need to until we are ready to do that, and that will be up to the town council at that time to do that. We're not gonna have a bunch of employees. We're hoping to hire maybe a management company, much like a homeowner association hires a management company. They have a staff that handles the bookkeeping, the payroll, all of that stuff. We won't have employees other than hopefully our town council. We won't have retirement benefits. We won't have workman's comp benefits. We won't have disability benefits. We won't have any of that if we stay away from the employee model and stay with the incorporated light model. Now, Jared is going to touch on the issue about the homestead. Basically, your taxes right now are paid to the tax collector. The property appraiser assesses your house. You pay those taxes to the tax collector, which is actually a state agency. It's not a county agency, even though it's the Martin County Tax Collector. And they set all of those rates. They set how your millage and all of that stuff work. So I'll let Jared go ahead and touch on that one question that you had. Basically, I've calculated, this is just rough numbers that I put out there. Most towns our size for a town manager pay anywhere from $150,000 up to $400,000 for a town manager. We're not gonna need that. We're gonna be a small town. We're gonna need a lot less than that. I threw a high number out of 125 for the town manager, 100 for the assistant manager, finance director, $80,000, town clerk treasurer, $60,000, administrative assistant, $50,000. So you get about $450,000 in actual salaries. The rest of that money is expenses for your contract services, which are your attorney, your contract services for your growth management, your legal fees, and your professional services. Did that cover that?
Okay. Jared, you can tell them about the homestead.
Sure.
Jared Gaylord?
Yep, I'm a local attorney, so please hold the cabbage and rotten vegetables. We're the nice kind of attorneys, but we practice real estate. We practice real estate law in town, and I just wanted to clarify the point about the homestead exemption and how it operates. So under Florida law, homestead exemption does three things. It provides protection against creditors, it is a restriction on devise, and it also caps your property taxes. So you don't have to worry about being in a municipality that 1/2 acre will somehow change your tax rate. That will stay the same. What it will do though, is if you're inside a municipality, you have 1/2 acre is protected 100% from a forced sale or from a creditor trying to come after your property. That homestead exemption will protect you from that. If you're outside a municipality, it's 160 acres. So that's a very quick answer to that homestead exemption, and that's for debtor protection rather than having any tax implications.
What happens if you have more than a half?
So if you have more than an acre or a 1/2 acre of property and you have a creditor out there that wants to foreclose on a lien that is attached to your property, what courts will try to do is they'll legally subdivide the property if possible. And you will keep your homestead residence, and then that other portion of your property that you don't live on will be given to the creditor. It will be the creditors. It's basically like a foreclosure.
But as far as taxes go, the taxes would still be homesteaded.
You're still capped with your homestead exemption. This would only be this 1/2 acre, 160 acre inside a municipality, outside a municipality, only relates to protection from creditors.
So more than a 1/2 acre, the extra stuff isn't, the extra acreage isn't taxed. Isn't
protected from.
Also homestead? Can't be taxed.
No, my point is that it does, this particular facet of the homestead law has nothing to do with taxes. It's only for creditor protection. So your entire property, whether you're in a municipality or not, will still receive the tax benefit of homesteading. The only difference is that your portion of the property that may be larger than a half acre may not be protected from forced sale by creditors. So if you have a lien out there, or if you haven't paid your, credit card, something like that, has nothing to do with taxes. Does that make sense?
But the homestead stays the same, period.
For your taxes, correct.
That's the end.
As long as you pay your bills, you're okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
There you go.
Pay your-
You have a comment?
I just want everybody to know, being married to Harold Jenkins, Commissioner, you learn a lot. And if we don't do this now, we're gonna be in trouble, because voting is up in August. Right now, he's with the majority, and I think he's gonna be alone up there. So that's gonna be 4 against 1. They're gonna do whatever they wanna do. They're gonna build Harmony, 2,000 homes, they're gonna do whatever they wanna do to get voted again. And Harold's gonna be alone. So you wanna bring it home, you wanna have control over it, make this happen. I really think it's the best thing for us to make it stay the way we want it to stay. And I know that because I'm married to a man that's fighting everybody up there.
He fights everybody else.
We're gonna do another 2-3 questions, and then we're gonna wrap it up.
Hi, my name is Don Grunwald. I'm a happy resident of Eaglewood for 1 year as of April 27th. You said that if we incorporate, that initially we would have a skeleton crew. However, I'm sure Jupiter had the same thing when they first started out. I guess my question is, can we add to the charters, maybe through referendum, and another question on the ballot, that we can vote to keep what you called government light, or is that what it was? Can we have another referendum question in addition to the incorporation, so that we can make sure that this government is not going to go out of control over the coming years?
The short answer to that is that the only way you're going to control all that is to participate in the civic meetings and participate with your council. And if the council was to say that we want to, because we've got it set up in the charter where they can't do their own raisins and stuff. So they would have to come and get public input to do all that. So it really is the public input. My point about the town of Jupiter, and this woman was there when there was nothing in the town of Jupiter, was that they had so much empty land that what they wound up was an influx of people from out of that area that came in and literally took over the town. And I sympathized with her because I lived in Lake Worth and I watched the exact same thing happen. And you said you were coming from North Palm Beach. So the real control for all that is through the community. It's definitely through the community. It's through the meetings in the evening. It's through making sure you participate. I'm not sure exactly if there's a referendum that could stop it all, but if the county is operating on a good budget, there would be no reason for it to start growing other than some outside influence, and that takes us to keep control.
I mean, just so we're not adding employees, at will.
Well, they still have to justify their budget every year, if you're gonna add people. Alfred said it best. If you truly believe that nobody else is ever going to move to this town, you've got your head buried in stuff. We all know it's going to happen. So the idea is to be able to control it, Massachusetts. And the only way to control it is to have your own town. Right. I see a lot of people getting ready to go, and I'll do a couple more questions.
This is not a question, so real quick, I just want to show you an example. Kurt from Hobe Sound Jewelers, a little 40 years we've been here. I woke up one day and everybody's around in the back little alley behind this shop, and they put, Martin County, I believe approved a trailer at Zeus Park, right here. So you turn your back, and this is what's going to happen. So if you have 5 people you grew up with, you shop with, it's an opportunity here.
Thank you, and your point is well taken, because that trailer showed up in this neighborhood right here. Mobile home, Martin County said, fine, you can go put it in there. So we had no control.
I think it's important to note that the people in Zoops Park took local control, and that trailer went away because the local people acted locally. And if Hobe Sound acts locally, Hobe Sound can control Hobe Sound.
Absolutely. And
That
and George, you say that best, in all the years I've been here, we're a 100-year-old town that had no sewer system. Just didn't have one. And Martin County came down here and said they were going to put in a forced main system, which made every business down there had a lift station. Thousands of dollars. That was another time. Everybody from Hobe Sound, we all showed up, made the county come to our town. We have a gravity sewer system, state-of-the-art system. But we wouldn't have had it if we couldn't all bid together to get it. And that was my point about this town in my 35 years. I see a town that all works together. We all work together.
But every one of those incidents, and I was at a lot of those meetings at the county, it hinged on one person, and sometimes that person was hemming and hawing. They didn't know if they were going to vote this way. They didn't say, what do you people in Hobe Sound want? They were thinking about everybody in the county and how it was going to affect them. We've just been lucky in a lot of those incidents that votes went our way. That's not always going to happen.
Listen, we have some sign-in sheets on the way. If you didn't sign in, please sign in on your way out. We have some yard signs, if you're willing to put one up in the yard. That's great, we appreciate you keeping in the yard. And there's some t-shirts and stuff. Any questions that you did not get answered, you can go onto our website. There's an email connection. You can put your question in the form of an email. We'll get an answer back to you.
I'm down on that corner every day. If you got a question, I'll talk to you for hours about it. Also, I said this at our last meeting. If you are for this and you're all excited about it, and you see a sign that says vote no, please don't touch it. Please leave it where it is. Those people have a right to put their signs up and make their opinions heard too. So please, put a yes sign up or don't bother the other signs. Thank you.
Yeah, let's just
part of the law. And I think that's what we're going to be more and they don't have to do shit. Because really, what we want to do is make sure the land is efficient.
You do, and that lady tonight, I mean, she wrote her questions this afternoon, so I was gonna ask it, no matter what. She answered, she said, it's okay for her. That's the way it is. Because she's not home, that's what she wanted to tell her, so all that stuff she had. So, I mean, you need people like me and my neighbor that I can bring to, and other neighbors that have. So they should be successful.
South Carolina. My cousin lives in Somerville.
Yeah. No, it's south, but yeah, I used to work at where Union Camp. I like that state. I really do. My parents came to in 1965.
Well, if they came here in 65, this was good.
Oh man, it was, and my mother would tell me, oh, Carnation Farms, Acres One. They tell me about all that stuff. There was fruit stand used to be on the corner. There's the gas station.
And there was a place up there off of Indian Street. It's called a King Bank.
Yeah, my parents saw it. And they were all pretty sad because my dad was like, died and my mom was like,
You got good genes.
yeah, got good genes. So,
Yeah, my dad just turned 90.
so, you know, I mean, they were kind of already lamenting what had happened, you know. So I think they were, you know, if they were here, they get behind this.
Well, if they were here and go back into Stewart, they'll say, what the heck took place here? You know, Stewart just, you know, I saw the news last night where someone turned down the Costco. It could have been and Stewart is kind of saying, I want to be you know, they're already busting in at the seams, you know, and they're coming this Yeah, my wife and we raised 4 sons. And, you know, she oftentimes says that, you know, we could have gone to a city somewhere, but most cities that we go into, life is not really crazy about it. You know, we're in Miami. And her sister lives over in Tampa.
You know, when my parents were being raised,
Yeah, well, see, my wife,
is that right?
and that was his. That was before this waste management and all that. Yeah, matter of fact, they bought him out.
Yeah, you get it tuned up, but now we don't have to drop
and my wife now, we've always been very active. And so we got the shot to bring it to us. And everybody was, no. And I was one of the minorities that said, yeah, it's a good thing. And you know, we just made it happen. And the greatest thing was that while the roads were open to bring the sewer in, they brought it all through piping for the water. You know, otherwise that cast iron had been in the ground for so many years and the rust in.
and then they wait for it to break, and then you tear the road up. Yeah, I know.
So it was a win-win. We ended up getting paved roads out of this deal. And believe me, most of those septic tanks, they were so old.
I bought the house across the street from my parents so that I could come and go and take care of it. I'd come for 3 months, then I'd go home. And my sister would take over, then I would go come back, and then she'd take the rest. You know? So I looked at the house and I said, okay, you know, I better focus that. Where is it? Let's find it. You know where it was? They poured a pump.
Oh, yeah. Right.
So I'm like, SMRU, I need some. And but that's, they came in and it was all
well, I'm in Petway, and that's all we got.
Yeah, I like having the city water because I get, trouble being free.
Right, yeah. Well, usually if I'm gonna use it here, I bought it. Well, one of my sons, he's a water plant operator. He swears the water's fine. So when he drinks it out of the tap, my goddaughter who lives with him, she'll say, "Oh, he's taking the water out of it," because we know it's fine.
Well, you get used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that when we reach out, and I know you're aware of it, especially when you're stationed people like that in areas or somewhere.
Maybe I'll actually do that.
And make sure that people are well informed and trained to say, no, wait a minute, we can get you next, but we gotta have a starting point. Then maybe they'll fight for you instead of walking away
And
mad.
that's the beauty about getting all these minds in one room, like you're saying, you make a suggestion and you should
I'll be in South Carolina when it happens, but I know all my friends will be calling me to tell me.
I got a feeling we're gonna do it.
Yeah, and you're gonna have to do it now.
Right. But I grew up here, so when you talk about gotta give them credit. And so a lot of this stuff that's protected.
Thank you. Yeah. And if it had been, I think that was right.
Well, there was this African American enclave, it's just north of Richmond, but it was on the east side of the river. In a little town called, it was a little village, little hamlet called Hobe. That's far you had to, and then you had Aiken. And they had quite some acres bordering on the river, just north of La Blanche. And Mr. Reed got with wasn't it? They pulled the family together and gave price for their property. They purchased it and then made it federal. Because if not, the developer would not take it and put highlights.
One thing too, I don't know Florida law on that, but I was a consultant for engineering and construction. And so many times, but it was progress, it was like liability, you can't pay for IT. It wasn't local. But I know a lot of times when you have a brownfield site like that, you can't do something else other than a gas station. You totally dig all that out and get all that brown